Hi, my name is Nick Rogers and I'm a veteran, and I've been thinking about making this video for a while to help people that are transitioning out of the military so the transition is a little bit easier and to help understand what life's like after you get out. So I haven't actually been out that long myself. I've only been out since January 16th, but today is January 28th, so it's only 12 days, but I'm a planner. And I've been planning on getting out for well over a year, and that actually has led to some hardships on my transition, and that's some of the things that I wanted to talk about. So more than likely, if you're watching this video, you're either thinking about separating, you're getting ready to retire, or you're close to transitioning out, or you're a veteran that's just having a hard time. And I want to first off say thank you for serving our country. Not many people out there will do what we have done and sacrifice their lives in order to serve our nation. So thank you. Let's get to it though. So a little bit about my backstory. I did 9 years in the Air Force as an enlisted. While I was at my last command, I kind of realized at the beginning, this isn't necessarily what I want to do for 20 years. And I decided, what can I start to plan to help me with my transition for when I get out? And I went to college, and I actually got a bachelor's degree and I got a master's degree in my last 4 years in the Air Force. And I got a business major and then a master's of business administration, thinking this would help me get a job. It did, but it also did not. It wasn't as impressive on my resume as what I thought it would be. Not necessarily for the types of jobs that I was hoping to get after I got out of the military. Another thing that I planned was budgeting. So I started really looking at what's my expenses every month. You know, you have your long-term debt, which is like your mortgage payment, and then you have your short-term debt, which is, you know, like a truck payment, a motorcycle payment, credit card. My biggest advice to you is get rid of as much short-term debt before you separate out of the military. Now, why is this important? Okay, I got out of the military as an E5. I was making $51,000 a year. All right, I'm stationed in Colorado, but I'm a resident of Texas. I ran a calculator trying to see how much money I would make if I stayed in Colorado and had to pay state taxes, because you have to understand, as a Texas resident, I was paying no state taxes. I paid federal income tax on half my paycheck, and I was in one of the lower tax brackets. So even though I was making $51,000 a year in the military, to make the equivalent take-home here in Colorado, I would have had to make $69,000 a year, $69,085 a year. And that doesn't include paying for health care, 401k, dental, or anything like that. That's another expenditure that you have to look at putting on top, just so you can have the same take-home check. So budgeting is a big thing. Looking at your short-term debt, hey, can I eliminate this short-term debt before I separate? Because if you can eliminate, let's say, 2 vehicle payments, your credit card payment, and save $1,000 a month, that's going to alleviate the burden if you get out of the military and you don't get a job making the same amount of take home as you do. That's one of the hardest things, is we actually make decent money in the military, and it doesn't seem that way because our numbers are low, but we're not paying taxes on a lot of it, and taxes are a big thing. So eliminate the short-term debt, look at your budget, look at where you can cut out extra expenses. Now, let's move on to the big thing. Let's go to transitioning out and looking for work. You need to figure out what career field, what industry you're going to want to work in. That's a really big thing. And once you figure that out, start setting yourself up for better success. So if you want to get into the IT world and do computer stuff, if you have time, start working on getting those IT certificates. Start going to school to get your degree. If you want to be a program manager or a project manager, go get your PMP cert. Don't just allow yourself to get out of the military without don't just allow yourself to get out of the military without allowing yourself to set yourself up for success. Try to set yourself up for success, because I know when I was getting out of the military, I was thinking, oh man, I had 9 years in the Air Force. I got a top secret security clearance, worked in the space career field. I'm going to get out. I'm going to make $100,000 a year. Nah, doesn't work like that. Doesn't work like that. I live in Colorado Springs. I'm in the space capital of the country. Like, the most space jobs are here in Colorado for military if I wanted to be a civilian. And the supply is very, very high, but the demand for it is even higher. I found out going through TAP class, there's 5 bases in Colorado Springs. You got the Air Force Academy, Schriever, Peterson, you got Cheyenne Mountain, and Fort Carson. And each month, they have 800 to 1,000 people getting out of the military, whether retirees or separatees. And 80% of the people that get out in Colorado want to stay here. So if that means 1,000 people are getting out of the military every month, 800 are wanting to stay here. And there's a good chance a lot of these people already have the skills and qualifications that you have, and maybe even more, maybe higher education. So this is something to think about. Think about where you want to go, what career field you want to do, and try to set yourself up for success. Get those certificates, get that education, get those, certifications, whatever you can, so that you're helping yourself get ready for that transition out. Now, this brings me to another point. Like I said, I'm a planner, and I plan. And I was planning on starting to look for work a year out, and I did. I was looking for work a year out from my data separation. I was applying to jobs and everything. And I was applying to jobs, and I even went to a headhunter, and I had some people reach out to me and say, hey, we can hire you. When can you start? I said, not for 8 months from now. Like, well, we need you in 3 weeks. That's not going to work for us. When it came getting closer to the line, to the line of my data separation, when my pay was no longer going to be coming to me, I started worrying, going to recruiters and headhunters, which are good things to use. But they told me, they said, we can't reach out to any company that you've applied to in the past 6 months. If they've had a resume that you've submitted in the past 6 months, we can't reach out to you. And I kind of shot myself in the foot, because in the past 6 months, while I was in the military, I applied to over 150 different companies. So it really reduced how headhunters and recruiters could help me out. And so my advice on that is, know what career field you want to go into, and wait until you get within like 2 months, maybe a month of getting out, and then go to a recruiter headhunter and talk to them. And the reason why is, when you submit an application online and submit your resume, it goes to that company's HR computer, and then they sift through them, and if they like your resume or your application, they get back to you. Some of these companies, like Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, they get hundreds of applicants for every job posting. Hundreds. Now, if you go through a headhunter or a recruiter, they will look through all the lists of jobs after they've talked to you, looked at your resume, helped polish your resume, and they will say, hey, I found a job for you here doing this. I think you're a great fit. This is what the salary range is. Would you like me to submit it? You say yes. They submit the resume. They are allowed to contact the hiring manager for that position with that company and say, hey, did you get that application? I think he's a great fit. If you do this by yourself, you won't be able to. So don't apply to all these jobs a year out like I did, or even 6 months or 5 months or 4 months. Wait until you get to at least 2 to 1 months out, and then go to a recruiter headhunter and have them help you. Why do I say this? Why do I say this? Because I did not get a job offer until, I think it was 3 weeks before my date of separation. I had 2 months of terminal leave. My plan was to go on terminal and work while I was on terminal and get those 2 paychecks. I didn't start my job till the day that my data separation started. And thank God I got the job that I got. And it wasn't through a recruiter. It wasn't through a headhunter. It wasn't because I found this job online. It was because of networking, which is another big thing that I wanted to talk about. One of my friends who's on social media sites, who's looking at different job postings, reached out and said, hey, I think you're a great fit for this. So I emailed the person that did the posting. The next day I went in for an interview and I got the job. I got offered the job. It was a blessing, and I was losing it because I was 3 weeks away from not having a paycheck. And this goes back to getting rid of that short-term debt. If all I have to worry about is food, utilities, and my mortgage, that's a lot better than if I got a truck, 2 motorcycle payments, a boat payment, an ATV, and $10,000 on my credit card. Because if it would have gotten down to the wire and I wouldn't have been able to get a job in the career field that I wanted, I was willing to go work at Lowe's. I was willing to go work at a bar as a bartender or a restaurant waiting tables just to do whatever I could. But I looked at the average salary for those people, and there was no way I was going to be able to pay my bills. So I'm giving you advice so you don't have to go through the struggle that I did. Do not have as much short-term debt as I do. Do not do that. So, and network with people. Network with people that are in the career field that you want to go to. Make friends. That's how you get your jobs. So many of these networking events and whatnot, they lead to a lot of jobs because you make friends. And then when these friends hear of a position, they'll be like, oh, hey, I know that guy. I know that woman. They would be great for this position. So that's my advice. Take it or leave it, but I want to help people with the transitioning out. I might do a couple more of these after I've been out for a little while and been working, and just let you know how it is on life on the outside. It's different, though. I will say that. I will say it's definitely different. My boss, just on Friday, pulled me aside, and he said, Nick, I need to talk to you. I said, what's up? And he said, listen, I am the least micromanaging boss you will ever have. Quit asking if you can do more work. Quit telling me you've got your job done. You don't have to do that. The only thing you really need to talk to me about with work is if you have a question on how to do something or if you want to leave early. And I was shocked, and I looked at him and I said, well, sir, I'm sorry. I'm just transitioning out of the military. I've been out for maybe a week and a couple days now. He said, I'm a retired Marine. He's a retired Navy. We understand. We all went through the same thing. So that's another thing I'll talk on in the future, is how to transition from that military mindset to civilian life. But until then, God bless, and thank you.